All right, so I thought we'd start things off by talking about a design element that's really common out there right now, and that is the halftone pattern or halftone dot pattern. And you really see it everywhere. And one of the cool things about this kind of effect is that it has so many different possibilities. There's a number of different ways you can apply it, and that's what I wanted to cover here is a couple of different ways we can use this to enhance our designs a little bit better. And the first way is applying it to a photograph to create a very interesting effect. In fact, this was just recently used in a movie poster for a movie called Righteous Kill with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. So kind of inspired me to, to give this a look at and see how you can apply and use this halftone effect on a photograph. So here I have a photo, and what I want to do first, of course, is go in here to the Layers panel. I'm just going to create a duplicate of this layer. I'm going to press Command or Control J, and we'll get a duplicate. And I'm going to go right into the filter menu, and this is one of the cool things about this kind of technique is it's pretty much immediate. You're going to go and find the filter and apply it, and you can start to see the results right away. So we're just going to go into the Sketch menu and go here to Halftone Pattern. And we do want to make sure that we're selecting dot for the pattern type over here. You can see it's already taking effect. You can try line or circle and see what kind of things you get there. But in this case, we want the dot pattern. And you can adjust the contrast here. You can see we can get a really harsh edge there. I don't like necessarily using the contrast in here. What I like to do is give it a relatively soft effect in this window. And then we're going to use our levels to enhance it a little bit more. So I'm going to go and leave the size at 2, and I'm going to leave the contrast at around 32 there. So let's go ahead and click OK, and there it is applied our effect. But like I said, I want to increase that contrast a little bit more, but I get a little bit more control by using my levels. So I'm going to press Command or Control L, and there's my levels for this. So we'll take that shadow slider and push it in just a little bit, and we'll take that highlight slider and bring it in too. You notice a fair amount of contrast we're getting there. It's a little bit smoother transition than what we were looking at in the other window there. So I'm going to click OK. And now the effect is pretty much done. Now I got to decide what to do with this image. Well, I could go ahead and blend it perhaps with my original layer. Remember, we got it sitting right there at the bottom. If we change the blend mode perhaps to overlay, gives me an interesting effect. Hard light, not so much. Soft light, still kind of an interesting effect as well. So that's certainly one way of using it. Another way is going ahead and putting it against a neutral background or a textured background for it. So let's try that. Well, I'm going to go ahead and change this back to normal for now, and let's turn off the visibility of this layer. And let's throw a new layer right underneath it. I'm just going to hold down my Command or Control key, click the new layer icon, and there we have our new layer. I'm going to press Shift-Delete to bring up the Fill dialog here, and we're going to use 50% gray, and go ahead and click OK, and there we have it. So now I want to apply a texture to this layer. Well, let's go into the Filter menu and go to Texture, and I'm going to choose Texturizer. And we want to go into this little menu right here. You see we got a menu here of a number of different items. Well, we want to go into this little menu where it says Load Texture. And it's going to open up this window. It's going to actually open up the Finder window, and you need to go into your Photoshop folder, right inside Photoshop CS4, and we've got the Presets folder, and we'll go down here to Textures. And we're going to look for this Stucco 2 right here. So I'm going to go ahead and load that. And you'll see it's gone ahead and loaded it in there. I can mess with the scaling and the relief. Let's go ahead and take the relief to 3, and let's get the scaling around 90. And I'm going to go and leave the light set to top right. So let's go ahead and click OK. And there it is applied the texture. Let's see what it looks like with our image. Well, I'm going to go turn on this layer. Now, what I want is I don't necessarily want the white areas to be visible here. I only want to see all the darker areas of this image through here and see that texture behind it. So which blend mode is going to give me leave all my darks alone but turn all the whites off? That's going to be multiply. Now you can see all the whites go away, and now it's blending in nicely with my image. Well, if I wanted to enhance it just a little bit more, I'm going to select that texture layer. I'm going to click a new layer on top of that one. And let's go ahead and grab our gradient tool. And I'm going to go ahead and flip these colors around. Let's just click the icon here. So white is in the foreground, black is in the background. Up here in the gradient editor, I'm going to select the first one. So we're going from foreground to background. And right on that empty layer, I'm just going to start right up here in his ear. And want to make sure we're using the radial gradient, of course, the second icon right here. And right up here in the image, I'm going to start right about in his ear here and just draw out a gradient to the bottom right corner there, just like that. And then I'm going to simply blend it with everything else using a blend mode. Let's start with overlay and see what we get. Kind of an interesting effect. It's a little too intense with the lighting up here, so let's go and change it to soft light. So, gives me a little variation to the background and has kind of a classy look to the image there. So, that is one way of using the halftones applied to a photograph. Now, in the next video, we're going to talk about how you can create really interesting graphics with halftone patterns.